Dear friends, glad to see you all on Feygin Live. It is Saturday, August 20th, and it is 2 minutes past 10 in Kiev, day 178. You will not believe a guest we have today. It is Olexiy Arestovich. Glad to see you. I don't even know how I managed to get here. Exactly. Alright, anyway, the usual, please click the like button, share links to that stream in your social media and other places you hang out at. And of course, subscribe to Feygin Live, to Olexiy Arestovich, and to the Privateer station if you have not done that yet. In the description, there are links to Alexei's and Mark's channels as well. Alright, you have not been here for 2 days. There have been a lot of things happening. Let's start from the beginning. So why did you blow up half a Crimea already? You know, adults and kids crying in uniform, and you keep causing those booms, like in that Tchaikovsky fairy tale about little foxes who set the sea on fire. Oh, don't even tell me that. I did not set anything on fire. Where am I? Where is Crimea? Okay, the map. So the enemy suddenly activated their efforts in Kharkov region. Not quite clear what for. And started attempts to move towards Korobochkina and Chugueva. It is to the southeast of Chugueva. If you look at the map, Chuguev is a bit to the south, east of Kiev, and to the south there is Korobochkina. So they tried to go there, they got smashed, and they had to fall back. All the progressive military minds of Ukraine are trying to figure out the ideation behind that wonderful maneuver that they tried, and we're still failing to do so. So let's go towards the zoom. There is a lot of fighting going in the forest. Who catches whom? They tried to move from Dovgenkova down, didn't work quite well, so for now we're fighting in the forests. In the days of Second World War, these fights would be called local tactical skirmishes. So the opponents are hunting each other out in the forest, some artillery is helping them both, but it's a heavily wooded area, so it is somewhat without movement, just local troops figuring out who gets whom first. Nothing near Siversk, they tried to move, failed. Bakhmut, they tried to move also, really want to surround Kadema. Down south, didn't have any success. Further down south, Avdiivka, they're slowly creeping towards Veselaya, which is a bit to the north of Avdiivka, but again, not quite successful there. If we go down south, they keep going and dying near Pesky, just smashing the remainder of their army at our fortifications, and as our general command said, have no success. Mariinka, they're also attacking our fortifications head-on. No success there, but you can see the map is a little bit colored between green and red there. That indicates not their success, but rather fire, the area controlled by fire by both sides. So, down Zaporozhye, they're trying to get to the outskirts of Ugledar, not exactly succeeding, and basically trying different tactical movements that are rather fruitless. In the meantime, in Kherson area, they are still standing and losing their warehouses, bridges, for operating bases every day. Mass poisoning happened in Russian troops. 22 soldiers dead. A bunch of them are being transported to Sevastopol. We don't exactly know what happened there. Heard that something was really related to some bad preserves. They're trying to save the remainder of that group that got poisoned, and its prognosis is not too optimistic. So what's up with Crimea? We worked on it yesterday. Well, somebody worked on it yesterday. We have to also drop some of the illusions. Russia activated their anti-air defense, and they did shoot down a number of missiles, and we failed to attack anything of significance. In the last couple of days, and all these sparklers and booms over Crimea, that was anti-air defense fighting with incoming missiles. Overall, we can still say this is an operative success for us, because they started to move their battle aviation, the front aviation, from Crimea to the Russia mainland. Crimea was the main crown jewel for Putin for a while, so now they moved ships to the eastern shore, and they're withdrawing aviation from the peninsula. They also shot down one of our UAVs today, and that was in the news. That one was just an observer. But it only means that, well, we did not shoot anything today or yesterday successfully, but something may fly in tomorrow. And one needs to understand it's now turning into the fight of the attack and defense. So we are collecting intel on the anti-air defense systems that they brought in. These events are causing panic with Russian leadership in Crimea and Russian tourists as well. They're saying Crimea is becoming very uncomfortable and figuring out ways to leave it. And that reminded me of a little anecdote about a mother shark teaching a little baby shark. And she's telling him, well, if you want to eat a human, do not go and bite him immediately. Just show up and swim around him, make a few circles. Why? He'll be cleaner. So, in some sense, counter-operation on Crimea liberation has already started. So, answering these questions, is it possible to liberate Crimea? I guess we already are. Aviation is being moved, civilians are running en masse. Alright, so the strikes will continue, or let's say the explosions will continue. Let's do it this way. Yes, I think since that was started, it likely will continue. Are there means to continue? Something is flying, right? Something is flying and hitting. So here is the letter from 20 American representatives of a pretty high military diplomatic establishment. It was posted in Atlantic. It was turned to Biden and signed by many: Wesley Clark, Hodges, ambassadors, a lot of people. And the main message of this letter is we need to conclude this war and For the conclusion, we need to give certain types of munitions to Ukraine, ATACMS and more other things, which will enable Ukraine to not just hold the actions and halt the actions of Moscow, but also deoccupy the territories captured by Putin's military. And such actions will cause Russia to sit down at the table of negotiations at the end when it gets pushed out. They're not talking about any diplomatic pressure and attempts to figure it out diplomatically. Their main message is give Ukraine proper armaments so they can conclude this operation. Earlier, it was a very different position. I would even say, Mark, not even presence of certain equipment that will change the flow of this war, the quantity of it. Because 25 HIMARS and HIMARS-like machines, like M270, it's good. It allowed to change the situation on the front significantly. But in order to just wipe them away and carry them out of Ukraine feet first, we need maybe 60. So double that amount, 50, 60, and we'll be really moving them out rapidly. It'll be rather a wave of artillery fire that they'll have nothing to counter with. But for whatever reason, we don't have it. Artillery, they have about 1,300, 1,400 caliber 150 systems. We have about 200 plus Western 150 caliber plus. So the proportion is 1 to 6. Yeah, we do have some Soviet as well, but we don't have too much ammo for them, and they're pretty worn out. So we can hold them and we can counter generally, unless they concentrate like in Pesky when they throw everything they have in a small part of the front and start concentrating fire. So the problem is that Russian artillery is targeting certain coordinates and just destroying everything in that quadrant. And we counter that with UAV systems that have intel, provide quick intel to our artillery fire, and we take them out rather surgically. This is more effective, but it still is a problem. Western artillery is unique systems. They are not made for mass fire like Russians are. They're made for 3-4 shots a minute. If you start using it like Russian systems are used, they very quickly lose their shape and precision and things start to break. Why? Because artillery is the main force in the Russian military. In NATO, this function is performed by Air Force. We do not have that Air Force. So we cannot counter Russian artillery in the same way. And I would say the systems we have are getting worn out much faster than we would prefer them to. And they keep breaking, and logistics is rather complicated. Spare parts and all that. All these systems are also different. It seems like NATO is unified. No, not really. So it's a big potpourri of M129 to Panzer howitzers 2000 to others and Caesars and all. But yeah, we're working. We're figuring things out. But still, 200 howitzers for 1,200 miles of the front, not quite enough. If we could double that number, then another situation would make sense. We could have broken the situation in our favor, and now we can convert that to tactical advantage. and a fire, organizational, numerical, uncertain part. Because if we had 500, 600 howitzers and probably 60 HIMARS systems, we would have removed a lot of Russian logistics and positions. For whatever reason, we don't. One part is that the West doesn't quite have too many of some of them, because they have to give us what they actually have. Like France has about 70 of those, and they gave us 18. That's like a fifth. That's a big sacrifice, big help. Thank you, France. So there are reasons, and the group that signed that letter, they're aware of that. And also, perhaps these numbers will increase when the Lend-Lease starts, but it's still about a month and a half till it starts in October. Another problem is lack of prepared infantry. We have reserves, but many of them are combined of people who do not have much fighting experience. They have not held guns before. So they're being trained, and we do some rotation to expose them to fighting and to get some experience. But at best, that's for defense. While experienced infantry for offensive, that's a whole other story. Plus, Russian command also has a specific task for their forces to take out any experienced detachments. One of the tasks basically sounds like you do not have to advance anywhere in Ukraine, but just make sure that on your front you take out anything experienced that shows up on the Ukrainian side. So that's what we're trying to address with preparation in United Kingdom. We're trying to teach and give a better training to our infantry, and all these instructors from the northern NATO countries helping to train them. That is the story. We are trying to get our infantry better trained. Compared to Russian infantry that gets 2 weeks preparation before being thrown on the front, of course we train ours better, but there is definitely room for improvement. And besides that, yeah, both sides are tired, and this is where doubling the artillery and mobile launch systems would help us a lot. This would help us to change situation noticeably in the next 2 months. And we could have succeeded to the operative level on some directions. And we could show the world that Russian army is standing in defense, it can be fought with, and Ukraine is taking their territories back. So that would bring back more optimism on Ukraine as well. And that slowing down at the front is not successful, not helping with morale as well. It's kind of becoming a positional fighting. At the same time, HIMARS systems are probably the only ones that are helping us to not really stall completely, because every day we take about 4 warehouses and 1 command operation post. And the increased number of Air Force losses on the Russian side in the last week, they do indicate that they're trying to use something to cover for the lack of their artillery, because we take out artillery and artillery logistics. And these motions that Russia is doing in Crimea now, that basically it is an operative victory, but one needs to understand details, and you have to explain that, because otherwise only professionals will see what is going on. Versus if you wipe them out, take a couple of local regional centers, that is understandable for everyone where the war is going to. So one of the officers, when I was just starting my military career, was instructing us that a human has 2 reflexes, suckling and grabbing, inborn. So by the age of 18, you guys need to figure out which one is your primary reflex in this life. That is definitely military humor. Yeah, it is, and it was. So we do need. We are looking for soldiers with initiative. We need them. Our standard and our cadre military is a bit tired, and we did lose a lot of people as well. So now we're looking to reinforce, and we're looking to find these people with initiative. But it takes time, and we need to make sure that this process takes time. We need to find these people with initiative. They do need to occupy the lower ranks to figure out how to do that. It's important. And also, on the tactical level, it is important that this infantry can work together with HIMARS and artillery. The thing is, when you have enough support, your infantry doesn't have to be stellar. Then you basically take everything out with artillery, and then infantry doesn't need to be too experienced to get there and plant the flag and capture the ones who are remaining. When you're liking this air support, this artillery support, then infantry needs to be more professional, do more fighting, be more effective to have any success. So that's why we do need to double the artillery systems, and we're not asking for crazy numbers. We're not asking for 100. Just double what we have. That would be optimal, and that would allow us quickly and rather visibly for all the observers and alike to achieve success that we really need, including from the moral and psychological point of things. So we do have aspirations for Lend-Lease as well. Yesterday, another 800 million were signed. Very interesting stories around that. There are new complexes, NASAMS, and toll systems. So tolls are an interesting one. It is a big, heavy, yet mobile system. It's not like Stugna or Javelin, and we're getting the last generation of this system that hits armor from above, similar to Javelin. So it's very reliable, it flies far, and the thing is that American Army has a ton of them. So by getting 1,000 items of that nomenclature, that allows us to saturate our troops with enough anti-armor, counter-armor weapons. What it does, it creates additional, it reinforces the fighters on the front. So it allows us to hold possible Russian advancements with lesser force being deployed. And these systems are effective. They've been used in Syria, and they've taken out several hundreds of Russian armor there. So tolls are good news. It was discussed, and they do have a ton of them in America. So there was a question, why are you guys not sharing? So they are. That's another option which we did not have, and we asked for it for a long time. So on the structure of the weaponry being given, we're given anti-air defense, anti-tank systems, howitzers 105 millimeters. So they're more of a frontline field artillery for the operative depth, 15-16 kilometers. So the level of brigade. And this is another good news. So there is some saturation happening. The tempo and quantities, I do personally have questions looking at that. It needs to be doubled if we are to really visibly change the situation quickly. And, us volunteers, territorial defense, we figured a way to stop the enemy. It was not a simple thing. We indeed stopped them We threw a shadow on them. We made Russian anti-air systems quiet. We made Russians to relocate their air force. We do need more help to continue that. Big war takes a ton of reserves. Our inner front, just the active hot front with Russia, is 1,300 kilometers. So it does eat a lot of resources to support that. We're not asking for every infantryman to have a howitzer, but what we have does need to be doubled. All right, we have 390,000 watching us. Over 100,000 clicked the like button. We've been live for 25 minutes. A big ask from our viewers. Please share. Share the link to that stream in your social media. Make sure that other people who need to see that would come and watch us. We have more juicy questions to discuss. Let's talk about situation near Kharkov now, though, because they keep shelling the city and people are dying there daily. Is there a way to reinforce your air defense there and somehow protect Kharkov, or is that useless? The majority of what is hitting Kharkov is really difficult to shoot down. Yeah, we discussed that today at the Dnipropetrovsk region. We shot down 4 calibers out of 4 being shot from the Russian side. So we do have anti-air that is effective, but Kharkov is a difficult area. It is very close to Russian border, and from a shot to the hit, it's usually maybe 30 seconds. It's very difficult to react and intercept anything. Plus, very often it's just field artillery that is reaching the city. So, do people evacuate their elderly families, kids from the city? You know, everybody makes that decision on their own. There's no administrative decision to evacuate Kharkov. Everybody is to make that decision on their own. I mentioned here many times that I would definitely evacuate elderly and children from that area, but every family needs to make a decision on their own. Yep, true, and if there's nowhere for them to go to, it makes it harder. Is there any means that you guys could deploy on that front that could lower the intensity of fire? I'm not giving the tactical suggestions here, but I'm bringing out the questions that people ask. If you move more artillery, maybe use some HIMARS more effectively on that area to affect Kharkov region. In theory, yes, it is possible, but in reality, the things attacking Kharkov are pretty well covered by anti-air defense. And can you hit Belgorod region in Russia? They're showing you from Russia, right? Well, there were some explosions, right, Mark, already? Yeah, but it seems like it needs more. Well, Mark, it is difficult to win the whole Russian group in Belgorod region with a few explosions. We're working on that, but it takes time. They're already evacuating some schools with a lot of noise in that region. Well, yeah, that was more of a PR stunt. Nobody is shooting schools. All the explosions were happening in the military targets. And they're making noise about that, but war is a reciprocal state. Don't shoot at us, well, they cannot not shoot at you when you are shelling them daily. Okay, next subject, Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. There was another statement from Britain, probably a prepared statement one. A group of politicians signed that too. So they got the message over to Russia that if anything happens there, you can tell any kinds of fairy tales, but NATO countries will consider that to be a violation of Fifth Article, because nobody would appreciate the nuclear cloud hovering over Europe with radioactive rains and such. And then Ukraine may get NATO support that might even take over the nuclear power plant. So, what's the probability of such eventuality? What's in your mind? Mark, that's a question to NATO. Theoretically, I can allow for that. Two reasons. First of all, nobody needs a radio catastrophe. And second, things can escalate. If that is to happen once, it may happen again. There are a lot of nuclear stations in the country, so that needs to be stopped. And remember, back in spring, the highest representatives of NATO and United States, they did mention that if any nuclear weapons will be used, they will activate their forces and they will take part in that war. Now, here's the question. An explosion on a nuclear plant, it's not exactly a tactical nuke, but it is very close by the devastation effect. And then, depends upon the wind, it can go all the way to Belarus, to Copenhagen, anywhere in Europe. So, because of the evil deeds of one country, so this is not just a technical matter. This is really an evil will of one of the fighting sides, Russian Federation in this case, that could lead to such a disaster. So that is unacceptable, and then the way that unacceptable level will translate into military support, we'll see. But nobody really is afraid of Russia right now. Remember, at the beginning of war, they were saying that Russia will use nuclear weapons, obviously will use nuclear weapons in this war. We've been fighting for half a year. I think they can unclench on that subject. This war is a conventional war. And even if they use some tactical charges, nobody is afraid of them. So it's not a zero probability that they want to ensure their safety in the armed way. It doesn't have to be direct fight with Russian troops. Could be. Why do you think they shouldn't? They could engage as well. Well, there could be an armed ultimatum. GTFO of that area will be protecting it by NATO detachments. So you consider that possible? Definitely possible. We don't know how the exact percentage, but we do know that NATO would not appreciate having a nuclear threat and possibility for that threat to double or triple with more events. So, regarding the Day of Independence in Ukraine, there is a lot of talk that Moscow may retaliate towards Kiev and other places, but we do need to discuss that. How safe, speaking of any parades or any mass events right now during the war, on one hand, it is important to maintain the spirit of the nation. On the other hand, it is risky because Moscow is attacking you relentlessly. So, what is the choice here? So today there was a mass event in Kiev. There was a parade of Russian equipment on Khrushchev. It was rather popular. And people came out and took a lot of pictures, and they were saying that, hey, you wanted to bring your armor here? Here it is. Check it out. You also wanted to do that undead detachment. Not sure about that, but we can show your damaged equipment. And so far, they have not hit anything. Now again, imagine them shelling a mass event. To do what? To punish, for example. Okay, so they kill more civilians. what would be the world reaction to that? 20 more HIMARS probably, right? If they do want that, sure, go for it. I do not quite believe in a massive strike on the civilian targets at this point of this war. On military, yeah, they would be shooting. They might, as always, miss and hit civilians as well, but specifically targeting civilians at this moment, it doesn't make sense for them. They might be giddy for 15 minutes, but after that there'll be consequences, and I don't believe they're not calculating that. I think they do. And we'll see. It's only, 2-3 days left to that. As I said, today in the Dnipropetrovsk region we shot 4 out of 4 incoming. If they'll use the others, the other means by things that cannot be intercepted by anti-air defense. So we're on alert and we're monitoring it, but again, if you are afraid of that eventuality, just don't come to places of mass gatherings. So that's the best and simplest defense. 413,000 people watching us who have been live for about 35 minutes. There are a lot of questions about gathering money and purchase of a satellite or renting a satellite for a year. So the money that Ukraine was gathering for Bayraktars, that was successful. They were also donated, some of them. Now, not many people understand why you need satellites. Bayraktar is obvious. What about the satellites? Minister of Defense says you guys do need it. It's a question, do you need that data or not? And do you trust your military or not? Reznik turned to people and said that we do need that service. So Pritula was not the person who just made that decision. He is spending money not the way he wants, right, but the way he's ordered to. So that money was requested by Ministry of Defense. So there was an assessment carried out, and a decision was made. It has a very sound explanation. Why do we need that? Why is it being rented? And here, civil society, together with the government, made an joint effort to acquire that system. And after Reznikov's statements, I have no doubts that we do need that, because I do trust him. He is a very experienced professional. I do believe in his professional expertise as well as mine. And General Command did make a decision. They calculated different options and said that satellite option is the best out of what we can use. And addressing skeptics, even if at some point we'll figure that there are some nuances that needed to be addressed before making that decision. Nuances are everywhere. You cannot purchase a tool that is 100% effective. But if leading specialists of our military evaluated other options and settled on the satellite intel, then that's the way to go. That's good. All right. About trusting yourself. What can I say? Look at that. Olexiy is showing a document saying that he is an employee of the presidential office as an advisor to the office of the president of Ukraine. Official document. Olexiy, is it yours? Sure. Oh yeah, I stole it from somebody whose name is Arestovych. Podolyak made a statement, a mighty one. He said that Olexiy Arestovich is an advisor to the whole office combined. I will change your annotation. in my video descriptions. I need to explain. There are three categories of advisors: advisor to a president, advisor to the office, and to the head of the office, and advisor to the office. The third one is a very difficult one. It is back in the pre-revolution Russia was called an officer for special projects. So the full name is advisor to the presidential office of Ukraine. You are appointed to that position by an order of the president, and you can be removed from that position by an order of the president. So if you Google well, you might find an order to appoint me, but you will not find an order to remove me. So this was instigated by journalists. There were some rumors that I do not exist, or my position does not exist. It only talks about the level of professional skill of some journalists who cannot write a proper request to the government to get the proper documents. I had a fun conversation with Podolak this evening. Oh, tell us more. I told him, let idiots get deeper into that conspiracy. I'm counting journalists and deputies and dealers of public opinion peddling that conspiracy about me. Let them write a bit more, and then we show them the actual document. But Misha is a very kind man. He says, society needs to be informed, and we don't need that crazy hype they're running with. We'll just honestly tell them that you are. And he came out and made a statement, and he totally busted my chance to giggle, so I would wait for a couple more days, but it's okay. Imagine we're living in the aquarium with goldfish, with their length of thought and their reactions in that little society. And the fish is there reacting and doing things, and we're standing by that aquarium and we're knocking on the wall, and they're coming to that side. Oh, he's not an advisor, he's not even listed in the office of president or Yermak. Ostap Bender, a fictional character. Oh, Ostap was a good character, by the way. He was helping people. Yeah. So me looking at that from the side, I'm thinking, Jesus, whom do we have to deal with? Where are we going? Whom are we winning with these people and their leaders of public opinion? People from Congress, journalists, not inspirational. On the other hand, I probably am one of the few people in Ukraine who can entertain myself by typing my name in a search engine and seeing funny things that are coming up from Ukraine. If I have nothing to do before I go to bed, I just look up the fakes about me, and they're discussing a ton of things about me. Millions. Arestovych did that, Arestovich said that. And I guess it's somewhat good when you're present in people's lives and their heads. It makes it much easier to send messages there as well. And there is one good side to that. It's not the only one, but a good side. That I'm trying to send really good messages there. Imagine if I was using it for evil, with such presence in their minds. But, alright, for those who think we explained, for giggling once we showed the document, let's proceed to the next subject. By the way, did you see another polling? You're second after Zelensky in Ukraine. Are you getting kicked in the evening for whenever this poll comes out? They make me write 2,000 times. I misbehaved. Just tell them also that let's put an end to more conspiracies that you're not being paid. I've spoke about that many times. I'm actually paying money to do that work. All that work that I do, I'm doing at my own expense. Arestovich is head of the school Apeiron, and that is his the way he makes money. Otherwise, he is volunteering for the office of the president. He is not being paid. But by the way, it's not just you who is getting special orders. Does this plaque have a bone of you and me or something? By the way, this one is bronze and kind of gilded. I don't know. Looks golden. By the way, I have one that I can order too. I just didn't order. And we have another channel for Feigin News. I got a silver plaque. I had silver for Feigin Life. Now this one is Feigin News. Our viewers asked me to show. You know, the story reminds me of two anecdotes. One about the generals that we already discussed. The ones that are meeting in a corridor. And he's calling on his friend like, Petrovich, where are your orders? Where are your medals? Oh, damn it, forgot to take it off from my pajamas. And then the other one, when two DJs meet, and one says, oh, by the way, I bought your new disc yesterday. And the first one, oh, that was you. And the third is about a political leader who comes home and crying. And the wife is asking, why? Oh, only 3 people voted for me. And she smashes him with a pan and screams at him, oh, I knew you had a lover. Yeah, that's us. All right. To finish the stream, I want to say that we did connect with the family of Zahar, triple amputee from Ukrainian military. We already sent money. It's weekend, so they'll reach them on Monday, but we did talk to his wife. And another message in this project, Vitaly Kim, the head of Nikolaev region, did make a post today that Voznesensk was shelled in their region. A girl suffered. She's in surgery. Her eye has a really bad prognosis. She's next to her daughter, who is being operated on. So we're going to transfer some money to this family as well. This is all said. Those Kremlin fucktards are still, unfortunately, very active. But the very least we can do is support the victims. And I think we have enough money from the merch stores to support 4 more families. So we're defining new candidates. So we hope during the coming week we'll find the other candidates, and if you know other cases that happened recently and people need immediate help, because recovery will take months, and at the moment something that would help them, we could, because some people will need prosthetics, robotized stuff, others will probably need some eye surgeries, and we cannot do it like big organizations do. We don't have much resources, just me, my aide Konstantin, Olexiy is sending us some data. So please share. We will be making announcements in our streams, and we'll be sending money to them. All right, thank you, Olexiy. What about tomorrow? No, tomorrow there is nothing. Okay, then see you Monday. We'll make a break, and 10 p.m. Kiev, we look forward to having Olexiy on our streams. Tomorrow we'll have somebody else. We'll have Vladimir Zolkin, the guy who was on many of the interviews with Russian prisoners of war, and we'll be discussing how their mothers and wives react to their sons' prisoner status in Ukraine. So we'll discuss that and address what's happening there, the social and psychological outcomes of it. So come tomorrow. Olexiy, thank you again. See you Monday. Yep, see you.